Good morning guys, welcome again in the video Electrostatics 15 entitled Applications of Gauss Law. Okay, today we will discuss the electric field due to a charged wire of length L or linear charge conductor of length L. Here you can see the diagram. There is a charged wire of length L. Okay, charge is uniformly distributed over the length of the wire denoted by the positive sign. Okay, here lambda is the linear charge density of wire. It is the amount of charge at unit length of the wire. If you multiplied this lambda with the length of the wire, you will have the total charge spread over the wire. Lambda L is the total amount of charge at the wire. Okay, you can see there is a point P at a separation small r where you have to calculate the electric field intensity with the help of Gauss theorem. Okay, for this purpose what you did, you will enclosed the charged wire with the help of a closed Gaussian surface passing through the point of observation P. Here the distribution of charge is linear, so my closed Gaussian surface would be cylindrical, okay, of radius equal to the separation of wire and point of observation R, and height of this cylindrical Gaussian surface would be equal to the length of the wire having charged wire at the axis of the closed cylindrical Gaussian surface. You can see this is the closed cylindrical Gaussian surface of radius R and height L. You see this closed Gaussian surface has three surfaces, S1 and S3. These are the circular extreme ends of a cylinder, and there is a surface S2 which is the curved surface. Okay, the area vector of S1 and S3 are perpendicular to the surface outwards, and for area vector of curved surface DS2 is away from the charged wire as shown in the figure. Electric field for S1 is in the vertically upward direction, and for S3 it is also in the vertically upward direction, because for positive charge electric field is always away from the charge, and for the surface S2 you can see electric field is again in the vertically upward direction. Okay, angle between E and DS for surface S1 is 90, and for S2 is 0 degree, and for S3 is 90. Okay, diagram is clear. Now we will use Gauss theorem. Gauss theorem states that integration over closed cylindrical Gaussian surface, in short CCGS E dot ds is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught into total charge enclosed CCGS, closed cylindrical Gaussian surface. Now this closed cylindrical Gaussian surface is made of three surfaces, S1, S2, S3. So we will calculate individually electric flux through S1, S2 and S3, which is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught total charge enclosed in CCGS is lambda L, which is the total charge of the wire, because whole wire of length L is along the axis of the closed cylindrical Gaussian surface. Okay, now This is integration over closed surface S1 e ds1 cos 90 plus integration over closed surface e ds2 cos 90 plus integration over closed surface e ds3 cos 90 is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught lambda L. You see, there is no contribution of surface S1 and S3 in the flask. Flask passes only through the curved surface area of the cylinder, because you see cos 90 for S1 and S3, so flask through S1 and S3 would be 0 and flask through S2 surface would be non-zero, which is integration over closed surface E ds2 is equal to lambda L upon epsilon naught. Okay, the beauty of closed cylindrical Gaussian surface, E is same at everywhere at the closed cylindrical Gaussian surface, so E would be the constant, so it can take out from the integral. So E integration ds2 is equal to lambda L upon epsilon naught. Here integration over closed surface ds2 is equal to total curved surface area of CCGS, which is 2 pi RH. Here H is the L, length of the cylinder, length of the wire. So integration over closed surface ds2 is equal to 2 pi RH. We put the value, we have the result. E into 2 pi RL is equal to lambda L upon epsilon naught. Cancel the L on both sides. We have E is equal to lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught R. In the vector notation, E is equal to lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught R cap, Newton per Coulomb. You see here electric field inversely proportional to the separation between charged wire and the point of observation P. Okay, electric field does not depend on the length of the wire, but it depends on the amount of charge at the unit length of the wire, which is the linear charge density of the wire. So electric field due to a line charge or charged wire independent of the length of the wire, but E is directly proportional to lambda, which is the linear charge density, amount of charge at the unit length of the wire, and E is proportional to 1 upon R. Okay, this is extremely important derivation, guys. Now next derivation is here electric field due to infinite thin plane sheet of charge. Infinite thin plane sheet of charge is just like your आम पापड़. You see the आम पापड़, ठीक है. आम पापड़ is made of very small thin plane sheets. Okay, so infinite thin plane sheet of charge means any one thin sheet of आम पापड़, like that you can see. Okay, the charge is positive at the thin plane sheet of charge of surface charge density plus sigma. Surface charge density plus sigma means this is the amount of charge at unit area of the plane sheet. Here the distribution of charge is over a plane thin sheet. Okay, and you have to calculate the electric field at point P, which may be either side of the plane sheet of charge. Here it is at the right hand side. Now the distribution of charge is along the plane. So for that purpose, you see when charge is point like, your Gaussian surface is spherical. When charge distribution is linear, your Gaussian surface is a cylinder. Here the charge distribution is at the plane sheet Okay, here the Gaussian surface is cylindrical, but this cylinder is half both sides to the sheet. This type of cylindrical Gaussian surface is known as pillbox type. You see, the cylinder is passing through the plane sheet of charge. It is half from the right and half from the left. Again, you can see this pillbox type Gaussian surface has three surfaces, S1, S3 and S2. Okay, electric field for S1 and S2 is along the direction of area vectors of ds1 and ds2, but here the electric field and the area vector of ds3 is mutually perpendicular to each other. You can see in the diagram. Okay, now we will using Gauss theorem, integration over closed surface EDS is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught total charge enclosed in the pillbox type Gaussian surface, which is 1 upon epsilon naught into sigma A. Sigma is the amount of charge at the unit area of the pillbox type Gaussian surface, and A is the area of the pillbox type Gaussian surface, which is sigma A. Okay, so this surface again would break into three parts. Okay, here only circular ends will contribute the flux, EDS cos 0 plus EDS2 cos 0 plus EDS3 cos 90. So cos 90 would be 0. You can see E integration over closed surface ds1 plus E integration over closed surface ds2 is equal to sigma A upon epsilon naught. Now integration over closed surface ds1 and integration over closed surface ds2 is equal to A, which is the area enclosed pillbox type Gaussian surface. Now this is EA plus EA is equal to sigma A upon epsilon naught, which results E is equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. Okay, E is equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught r cap. Here r cap is the unit vector which is always perpendicular to the sheet of charge, either away from the sheet or towards the sheet, depending on the nature of surface charge density, whether it is positive or negative. The noticeable points are: electric field due to infinite thin plane sheet of charge is independent of the separation between sheet and point of observation. It is always perpendicular to the sheet outwards for positive surface charge density and perpendicular to the sheet inwards, means towards the sheet, for negative surface charge density. So this is the beauty of this derivation. Electric field due to the thin sheet of charge is always independent of the separation R. Thank you and have a nice day.